going to look at determining if graphs have symmetry just by looking at the graph. The first type of symmetry is x-axis symmetry. Graphically, if something has x-axis symmetry, it would mean that we can fold it about the x-axis and the top part would match with the bottom part. A sideways parabola would be a good example of that. Y-axis symmetry means that I could fold it about the y-axis and the left and right hand sides would match up. Let's see, well, a parabola like that would be a good example. Origin symmetry, is a little bit different. Origin symmetry, what I like to think about is putting a little pin in the origin. And if I can spin the graph around and have it match itself, then I would have origin symmetry. A good example of that would be that. Pretend that bottom one looks a little nicer. But you can see that if I were to spin the green on that red dot, it would match up with itself. So that would have origin symmetry. Here's our first one. We're going to determine which kinds. So first, x-axis. Yep, if I fold it on the x-axis, it'll match itself. What about y-axis? Yes, if I fold it on the y-axis, it'll match itself. Then we have to think about origin. So if I put a pin in this in the middle and spin it around 180 degrees, will it match itself? Well, for 180 degrees, this point would be right there, right? So it would. So this one would have x-axis, y-axis, and origin symmetry. For this one, here's x-axis. Clearly, if I fold this about the x-axis, it's not going to match, right? Because this guy would be down there. So no x-axis. What about y? If I fold it, again, it's not going to match up. So no y. But what about the pin? If I take that pin and I take this piece and swing it around 180 degrees, I'm going to match that other piece. So this has origin symmetry. Here we have a parabola, x-axis. Clearly, if I fold it, I don't have anything on the bottom half of my graph there, so no x-axis. Y-axis, if I fold it on the y-axis, that's going to be a yes for y. And then looking at origin, if I spin it, that's not going to work, right? So y-axis only. Here, x-axis, no, because if I fold it, there's nothing at the top of my graph to match. What about y? If I fold it, again, it's not going to match up, right? Because this guy here would just come over here. There's nothing to match up with. So no y-axis. And then origin, nope. If I spin it, it's not going to match up with itself. So this one has no symmetry at all. Here we have a circle. X-axis, yep, if I fold it, it's going to match. Y-axis, yep, if I fold it, it's going to match. Origin, clearly if I spin it 180 degrees, it's going to match itself back up. So it has all three types. Lastly, x-axis. No, because if I try to fold it on the x-axis, this point doesn't have anything to match to down here, right? That spot would kind of do that, and it doesn't have anything. So that's a no for x-axis. What about y-axis? Same thing, right? There's nothing for this to match with over here. That part doesn't exist. So that's a no for y-axis. Let's think about origin. If I look at this spot right here and I flip it 180 degrees this way, it will match that. So that's a yes for origin.